Hello! I'm making a quick video about transposing instruments because it's cropped up in the forums. Now, if you're not interested in this, you haven't heard about it, maybe just ignore this at the moment because it won't affect your understanding of fundamental music theory. But it has cropped up in the forum with people saying things like, what does the B-flat clarinet mean? Does that mean it doesn't play in C or whatever? So I thought I'd have a quick look at it. It's always got a historical component. It's the way music developed. Always these complex things are because of the step-by-step process. Early instruments, woodwind instruments are some of the earliest, are always a tube, some kind of flute. This one's got a whistle on the end and a bunch of holes, and my fingers go over the holes. I put all my fingers down, I get a note, and I lift my fingers up, and I get a major scale. Doesn't really matter what notes those are. If you're just doing music for voice and recorder, you just sing. So like writing the music, the early monks writing their music, it didn't matter actually what key they were in, it just mattered that they had the right relationship. But this being a modern recorder is in C major in fact, so those notes I just played were the beginning of the C major scale. And the same goes for my modern treble flute, standard orchestral flute. If I put all my fingers down, I get a C. And as I lift them up, I get a scale, which is the C major scale. It's the simplest way to play this instrument. It very much correlates to the white note configuration of the piano. Of course, I can play all the other keys. I can play all the other sharps and flats, but the simplest configuration of this instrument gives me C major. So this would be a treble flute in C, or the other term for that is in concert. Write the note as a C and you hear a C. But compare with this, which is an alto flute, which is a lot bigger, so that means it's going to be lower. Now it has the basic same configuration of keys, so I put all my fingers down and I can play the note and a scale. Okay, now that felt to me in my fingers like C major, and in my mind it felt like C major, but in fact it wasn't C major, it was G major. This one's I've got to take to the shop. That's a G. So when I did that, I played the G major scale. So this is called an alto flute in G. It's a transposing instrument. This is cheating. The reason for this is you might think, well, why not just write this as a G and then this as an A? But because I play the other flute, and because that's the standard, that would be so confusing and would take me so long to relearn it that instead we cheat. And we just say, fine, feels like C to you, we'll write it as C, in fact we know it's G. So if you're a composer or someone who's arranging music, you need to know that the alto flute doesn't play what it sounds, what you wrote. You write a C, you hear a G. So we'll just look at that quickly on score. So you write this C here. Just got to find a pen. It works. So yeah, you write this C here, this is middle C, the lowest note, but in fact it's sounding this G down here. Write the C up here, and it sounds the G down here. Write a D, and you're going to hear an A. Write the E, and you're going to hear a B. So you have to know that that's what the alto flute does, okay? Now there are other instruments that do this too, of course. Most well-known one would be clarinet in B flat. Also trumpets in B flat. So the clarinet in B flat, you write a C, you're going to hear a B flat. So it's the clarinet in B flat. So you write a D, you're going to hear a C. Okay? Saxophones all transpose. So tenor saxophone is also in B flat. However, there's another level of complexity there, because the tenor saxophone in B flat, you write a C, you actually hear the B flat down here an octave lower and one step lower, so a ninth lower. So tenor saxophone transposed by the octave, all the saxophones do that. So they're a little bit more complicated. And there is also octave transposition. So the piccolo that I play, very, very small, very, very high. If you were to write the piccolo as it sounds, you would have to use lots and lots and lots of leisure lines, really, really lots of them, and it becomes a hassle to read. So what you do, again, you cheat, and you write the piccolo the same as the normal flute around here, and you just have to know that those notes will all be sounding much higher. That also happens with the voice, the tenor, the male tenor. You write him round here, and he's actually sounding down here, so he's down lower. So we cheat on those as well. And there are many others, so there's clarinet in E flat. Means you write a C, you hear this E flat here. There's a clarinet in A, so you write C, you hear the A down here, right? That's basically transposing instruments. Now, like I said, it doesn't really matter, but it can cause a lot of confusion. There was a guy who on the forum said that he'd asked the clarinet player to give him an E. Now, I think it's probably a B-flat clarinet player, probably kind of inexperienced, didn't know to give him a transposed note, so played their E on their instrument, and that's actually a D. So he then tuned all his school's guitars down a step to D. Very grunge. And so people get together when they're kids, and trumpet and guitar, and then they can't play together because they didn't know that the trumpet is not playing the notes it says. So there are some instruments that lie about what notes they're playing. If you are looking at orchestral scores, you may see the word transposing score, and if that's the case, then the instruments have been written out in the wrong notes, so that the player will play the right note. So you could tell that if you were looking, say, I don't know, if you look at a score in C major, I have to use my crib sheet here to make sure I get this right. If you had a score in C major, then for the alto flute part, you'd see one flat. It would have been written in F major, because that's what you have to do to make it play the right notes. So the clarinet, if you were in C major, and you've got no sharps or flats down your score, the clarinet, you'll see two sharps. It has to be written in D major. So if the score was in G major with one sharp, and you see the clarinet with three sharps, it's A major, you had to transpose it. So you will see that, and it's quite confusing, and I'm not implying that you have to figure this all out right now, but just understand different instruments transpose. It is mainly your woodwinds and your brass. Guitars, in a way, do transpose. Think about it, guitar players. If you put a capo on your guitar, you feel like you're playing E major and A major and D major. But in fact, because you put the capo on, you're not playing those, you're playing whatever fret you put the capo on. So guitar can also temporarily transpose. It's all just to make the music easier to play, but unfortunately it does make it harder to read for you if you're trying to analyze music. Okay, that'll do on that. Thanks.